All right, everyone, let's talk about TUVALA, enhancing, and fail stacks. And what I wanted to do today is very specifically go over what the best fail stack levels are going to be when it comes to enhancing your TUVALA armor and weapons. And I wanted to very specifically focus on just those two things. I don't want to get into accessories. I don't want to get into crawning and cron stones in this video because I know that if I get too into detail and that sort of stuff, it's going to be too long, too much to really get into in one video. So very specifically, let's go over the armor, weapons, and what the best fail stacks to use are going to be. And I want to actually start off here by showing you guys a very important image. This is going to be an opportunity to maybe take a screenshot, pause the video, come back later, bookmark it, that sort of stuff, because what these numbers are is that is going to be your chance to succeed to TUVALA gear with an enhancement chance success, so a fail stack of 0. And basically the way that fail stacks work is every fail stack is going to increase that chance by 10%. So you can think of it as like going from 0 to 10 fail stacks, it's going to double whatever the base enhancement chance is. So, you know, like your Pry to Duo to TUVALA gear clicks, your base enhancement chance is 12% with a 0 fail stack. And if you have a fail stack of 10, it's going to double that 12% to 24. And I didn't just pick 10 out of thin air. It wasn't a coincidence. That number is actually pretty important here because that's going to segue into the first thing that we want to go over, which is what the best fail stack level is going to be approximately anyway for the Pry to Duo attempts. And it's going to be about 10. Now, very importantly, guys, I want to say that this stuff is all subject to change over time depending on the market. And you might be like, wait a second, but seasonal gear can't be sold. It's time-filled stones. It doesn't have anything to do with the central market. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, the thing is that the entire enhancing economy is all linked together because you can actually use any gear to build fail stacks for other gear, which is going to increase your chances to succeed. So the entire enhancing economy is all linked together. So even though it might not seem like it, if the prices of things like blackstones, hards, sharps, if they do go up or down, it does actually influence all of enhancing, and that includes TUVALA. So it's very important to keep an eye on the market and know that as markets get better or worse, you might need to adjust these levels a little bit, but it's not going to be a whole lot. Like if things are really, really cheap, and I'll tell you guys that right now things are definitely not very cheap. They've gotten very expensive lately. The armor stones have actually gone up to almost 200,000 here. We're in a pretty bad market, so I would even lean a little bit lower than 10. Like I would say 7 to 8 is probably acceptable. You could go a little bit lower if you're lazy. You could go 10, 11, 12. You definitely don't want to go too much higher though because of how expensive armor stones are. And, you know, a little while ago, they were hovering at around 100,000 each. So if you guys are watching this video later on and prices are all of a sudden different from what you see right here, or you're playing on a different server where the economy is a lot different, it's important to kind of know this in a little bit more detail so that you can make those little changes without following things exactly and having your market be so much different later on that now all of a sudden the numbers that I give you are going to be incorrect. It's important to kind of follow along there and make those small changes. So I say 10. It doesn't have to be exactly 10. It can be a little bit lower. If the market is really bad like it is right now, it could be a little bit higher if the market is really good, but approximately 10 for your Pry to Duo. Now, next up here is going to be the Duo to Try, and I know you might be thinking this. I'll just answer it really quickly here. Why are you not going over the stuff before? Why only the stuff that's in that red rectangle there? Well, it's really important. You don't want to focus on the stuff before. There's a reason why I highlighted the stuff in red, and that's really all I'm going to go over in this video. That's all you really need to know because the stuff before is not really important, as you really don't need to be doing that enhancing, because what you can actually do is exchange your Pen Naru gear for Pry TUVALA. So that's going to allow you to skip out all the earlier levels before Pry, save yourself a lot of time-filled blackstones and resources. So definitely don't do that. If you guys are just going to do the main story and get those beginner blackstones, you're going to get plenty of these to get all your gear to Naru, the pen. You don't even use fail stacks for Naru. You should be able to get it all to pen, no problem with the couple thousand stones you get from the story, and you can exchange that for Pry TUVALA, skip all those earlier steps, and save yourself a lot of the more valuable resources, which is those time-filled blackstones. Like the time-filled blackstones are much more valuable than the beginner blackstones. So don't even worry about all the stuff before the numbers that you see in the red rectangle. So moving on to the next one, which is going to be the Duo to Try attempts. You can see that the chance is a bit lower, 8%. Very importantly though, guys, these numbers, while they might look low if you are newer to the game, they might look a little bit daunting. TUVALA enhancing is a million times easier, I don't want to say a million times, but it's quite a bit easier than enhancing your regular equipment outside of the seasonal server. And also, very importantly, this is a big thing that newer players kind of get mixed up with that causes them to incorrectly enhance and use fail stack levels too high, is not only is it easier, it's a lot cheaper as well, because enhancing your TUVALA gear is not going to cost you memory fragments. Really important thing to go over here before we continue. Make sure that when you guys do repair your TUVALA gear, you do not use, I don't even know if you can use memory fragments, but don't do anything. Don't use artisan memories. Only repair it with copies of additional gear, because you can buy them from, you know, like Trannon, Underforge, and Velia for 1 TUVALA or each, and you use that copy to repair 10 durability. You're going to get plenty of TUVALA, or I know right now at the start of the season, it might seem a bit crazy considering you're probably going to want all the accessories. Don't worry, you're going to end up with more than enough of this. That is the only option that you're going to want to go with to repair your TUVALA. So please, please don't do anything else. And, you know, that's another reason why it's a lot easier than regular gear, because regular gear, you have to use memory fragments. So not only is the chance to succeed regular gear going to be a lot lower, but when you fail, it's going to take 10 of these things here, and you're looking at 2 million silver each. So 20 million silver to repair a failed boss gear click versus 1 TUVALA ore, which is worth maybe 50 to 100,000 silver. So pretty big difference right there. Clicking also costs you 10 to 15 of these time-filled blackstones. They're worth about 100,000 silver each, so you're looking at between 1 and 1.5 million silver to click on TUVALA. The repair cost, if you fail, is very low. Do not compare it to boss gear. Don't look at world chat. Don't look at global chat. You will get confused. People will mislead you. You'll end up using fail stack levels that are very, very wrong. And there's a lot of problems that people are constantly posting about levels to use for TUVALA gear, which is another reason I wanted to put this video out. So I wanted to clear that up here as we continue, because that information is going to be important as we get into these higher levels here, because you might at a first glance hear that the numbers that I give you guys might feel a little bit low, but it's not that they're low. It's just that the numbers that you might be reading in like global chat, world chat, whatever, are just way, way too high, because people incorrectly compare TUVALA to boss gear way too much. They're two completely different beasts. So for the duo to try, what you're going to want to use is a fail stack level of approximately 20. You can even go a little bit lower if you want, like 17 to 20 in a really bad economy right now. Like you could even go as low as 15, but you definitely don't want to go higher than like 23 to 25. You don't want to go to 30 fail stacks. I know a lot of people will say that they use 30 fail stacks for their duo to try clicks. Don't do that. It's not worth it at that point. It's true that if you do fail, you downgrade it back to pry, but those time-filled stones are not as valuable as concentrated stones. Repairing TUVALA is basically free compared to repairing boss gear. Don't use those incorrect comparisons that a lot of people do, comparing boss gear to TUVALA to convince you to use fail stack levels that are too high. A 30 fail stack has a lot of value to it. It is definitely not worth using on your duo to try TUVALA gear. And speaking of something that is absolutely worth using, this is the only thing that I'm going to talk about when it comes to these fail stacks other than the time-filled stones to actually upgrade, because it is so unbelievably valuable. That is these refined magical blackstones. If you guys have any of these, the best use for them, the only really good use for them, is you can use 30 of these to guarantee your TUVALA gear succeed from duo to try. It's going to cost 50 durability, but that's basically free. You know, remember that repairing TUVALA gear only takes 1 TUVALA ore to buy a replacement item to repair 10 durability. So it's going to take 5 TUVALA ores to repair that 50 durability. Compare that to boss gear, where it would take 50 memory fragments. That's 100 million silver. Just don't compare boss gear to TUVALA at all. It is a disaster, and it will set you up for a mindset that will cost you a lot of money. So if you get 30 of these, whenever you get 30 of them, use them to upgrade your TUVALA from duo to try guaranteed. What that's going to do is that's going to give you a Tet attempt. If you fail the Tet, obviously, you're going to downgrade your try back down to duo. And if you have another 30 of these, you always use these to go guaranteed from duo to try. You never want to vendor these. They are worth more than 200,000 silver each. And they're actually very, very good for using TUVALA gear to build fail stacks. But that's a little bit advanced. We're not going to get into that in this video today. We're really just going to talk about what the best fail stack levels are going to be when it comes to trying to actually achieve succeeding at your TUVALA gear. So building stacks with TUVALA, that's a little bit more advanced. Maybe we'll get into that in another video. But All right, so for your duo to try, approximately either your low 20s, your high teens, 17 to 23 to 25, not any higher than that, and adjust a little bit based on the server that you're in and the economy and the way that the market is doing. Now let's move on to the next one, which is going to be your try to your Tet attempts. And this is honestly, in my opinion, the most important, the most valuable. And this level right here is absolutely huge for more advanced enhancers like me, because what you're going to want to do very specific. This is the one that if you guys have to rewatch this part of the video later on, I'll say do that, because this one is very important. Don't make this mistake here. Trust me, you'll regret it later on. What you want to do with your try to Tet attempts, you want to use it to build your 30 stacks, and you don't want to lose 40 stacks. So click on it at approximately a fail stack of 30. You can even do high 20s, low 30s. I wouldn't even say mid 30s. Definitely not in the high 30s. Nowhere in the 40s should you be clicking for your try to Tet attempts. The reason why, and I'll explain it from an enhancing perspective here. There's a 30 stack and a 40 stack, right? Even though there's only a 10 level difference, the value of a fail stack, the difference between those 10 levels, that is when you have the first really big jump in fail stack levels going up in price. Even though it's only a 10 level difference, a 30 stack is worth 10, 15-ish million silver, but a 40 stack is worth at the very minimum double that, even higher, honestly. It's worth triple to even potentially quadruple that. And I even know people who will spend 70 to 100 million silver for 40 stacks, no problem. So you can see that 10 level difference is going to magnify the cost of the fail stack. So the difference between losing a 40 stack to a Tet TUVALA and losing a 30 stack to a Tet TUVALA is absolutely huge. And the great thing is, if you fail, what you're doing is you're actually building up those 40 stacks, which are very, very valuable. So you can think of this as such a great level, because no matter what happens, if you succeed or if you fail, good things are happening. You want to succeed and lose a 30 stack, which is not going to be too valuable, or you want to fail and now you're building those 30 stacks into 40 stacks and also gaining a ton of value as well. You do not want to lose 40 stacks. That's what you don't want to do. Tet TUVALA is not worth it. Trust me. You'll regret it later on. Those fail stacks are going to be much, much more useful for regular equipment that has a lot more value. You can resell it later, and also is going to be a lot more difficult to enhance and a lot more costly to enhance. So low 30s, high 20s, mid 30s at the highest, nowhere in the 40s. That's going to be your try to your Tet attempts. And then the very last one, this is the one that the most people make mistakes on. I've said this already, but I'll say it again for this one, because honestly, it's probably even more important. If you have to rewatch this part of the video, this one is very, very important, especially if you're newer to the game, if this is your first season or your first time enhancing TUVALA gear. What you want to do is you want to 100% stop your pen attempts at 70, 100%. For me, that's too high. I won't even go to 70, but I know that not everybody has access to the same enhancing resources that I do. So, even if you are, not doing a whole lot of enhancing, you do not want to go higher than 70. If you have a 70 fail stack and you're going for your pen TUVALA attempts, you want to start a new fail stack. Pen TUVALA is not worth losing 70 stacks to. It's just not. Trust me. A lot of math involved in enhancing, a lot of equations, spreadsheets, nerd stuff. And when you see the value of fail stacks and the value of TUVALA, and there's not really a whole lot you can do with it once you're done with TUVALA gear, right? You can't sell it. You can't even devour it. It's basically no good. Once you move on, that's it. It has a very limited shelf life and nothing you can do. Like regular gear, you can at least sell it, right? Not TUVALA. So those 70 stacks are going to be very, very useful for building regular gear later on. And I hear horror stories. I read chat about people building 100 stacks with their pen TUVALA. Don't do it, guys. Just stop at 70. And even if that means it's better to click for pen TUVALA, like starting a 35 or a 40 stack, it's better to click on that than it is to click past 70. So it's I want to compare it to like Tet Blackstar. Like, don't click on Tet Blackstar past 200 fail stacks, right? It's better to start back at 100 than it is to click past 200. I'll say the same for TUVALA. It's the same thing, except now the numbers are just a little bit different. It is better to start back at 35, 40, 45. You don't have to start that low. You could start at 50 if you want. You could start at 55. that's totally fine. But it's better to start back at those earlier levels, which are much, much lower than it is to continue past 70. Once you get to 70, start a new stack, save those 70 stacks for later. Trust me, you will regret burning them on your pen TUVALA later on. And please ignore those horror stories that you see in all the different world chats, group chats of people building their 100 stacks with TUVALA. That is not a good idea. You will regret it. Trust me, you will regret it, guys. So that's another important one right there, the one that probably the most people make mistakes on. And anyway, that is a nice little wrap up there, guys. I hope that this video helped out. Like I said, that's all the detail I could really get into for this one here, because there's a lot to get into when it comes to enhancing seasonal gear. That was just weapons and armor. I didn't even get into accessories. I didn't get into cronstones. So once again, if you guys enjoyed this video and you want more videos like this in the coming days and weeks, please let me know somehow. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It allows me to gauge whether enough people like these types of videos to continue doing similar videos in the future. So let me know, and obviously more will be coming out in the future if people do let me know. So if you guys are interested in more enhancing content though in detail, please check out the Twitch stream. That's where I do all my enhancing, tons of it, not just TUVALA. All of it, all the big stuff. Twitch.tv/salt. You can definitely ask more detailed questions there as well. But with that being said, that's going to be it for this video. Take care, everyone. Have a good one. And until next time.